Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out. I'm State Representative C.D. Davidsmeyer. I represent the 100th District, which is all or part of 10 counties in West Central Illinois. Here we are again at the start of the second week, the last week of veto session. The General Assembly has a number of issues that should be coming before us, dealing with a number of issues like the rising cost of energy, which unfortunately I think they're trying to continue to raise those costs on our constituents. The Chicago mass transit fiscal cliff, and instead of focusing on those issues and trying to get a real solution done, Governor Pritzker is once again wading into national politics. Pritzker and his Democrat buddies have been talking about a mid-decade redistricting of Illinois' congressional map to counteract Texas and other Republican states. Governor Pritzker recently said, "We have to see what they decide to do about Texas. I think we ought to play by the rules," but acknowledged counterbalance might be necessary, which I would argue is what some of those states are doing as a counterbalance to what states like Illinois, Massachusetts, New Mexico, and many others have done with their redistricting. Pritzker said, I think cheating the way the president wants to is improper. We all ought to stand up against it. People ought to be outraged." What people ought to be outraged about is Governor Pritzker himself and his flip-flop on the issue of fair maps. As a candidate for governor, Pritzker said he was for an independent map and he would not sign any map that was drawn by politicians. Then as governor, he happily signed a Democrat-drawn map that is one of the worst examples of gerrymandering in the history of our nation. J.B. Pritzker broke his promise to Illinois families, all to further empower corrupt Democrat Party bosses like former Speaker Madigan. If there were a master class on how to rig a map, Illinois would be the lab, and J.B. Pritzker would be the tenured professor. On his watch, Democrats drew some of the most shameless, gerrymandered maps in America. Graded an F by Princeton University, which is not a bastion of conservatism. He got an F by Princeton University's gerrymandering project, and that's not reform, that is pure political power. But Governor Pritzker didn't stop there. In August, when Texas Democrats fled their state to block a redistricting vote, Governor Pritzker rolled out the red carpet. On national television, he joked that if Texans wanted to stop gerrymandering, they should come to Illinois. Pritzker then went on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where Colbert himself pointed out just how gerrymandered Illinois' congressional maps are, highlighted by the Scorpion Tail, which is the 13th congressional district. When pressed about gerrymandered maps, Pritzker's flippant response was, and I quote, "We let kindergartners draw them." And instead of showing remorse, he's now boasting about the possibility of making maps even more partisan when he said, "Can we draw lines that look more like 15-2? We can." Governor Pritzker is leaving behind a trail of broken promises and failed policies as he seeks to elevate himself on the national level. He is clearly more interested in scoring political points in Washington, D.C., than he is in working to end the culture of corruption in Illinois.